Conservatives and Donald Trump keep saying abortion is now a state's decision. But here you have a handful of states that outlaw it, suing a bunch of states that allow it.
Right.
Square that circle for me.
Well, you know, Corey, as much as advocates like to use the states' right argument for all types of issues, from progressive to conservative, look, we're all still one nation and we're neighbors. And when one state does something that another state thinks is harmful, they actually can sue them. It's called the spillover effect, and the basis for a legal challenge is usually the full faith and credit clause or the commerce clause, which is where they're coming at it from. So as much as people might be angry about this, it happens sometimes. An example is when pollution from like an industrial plant in one state causes problems in another state, the other state might sue to make it stop. So the courts are ultimately going to have to decide if that meets this kind of standard.
Sue, there's a movement across college campuses being called the uncommitted movement. Students who aren't supporting Harris or Trump, many of them say Palestine is the reason. If true, one would believe that a lot of those folks would have probably been Harris voters. How do you advise her to speak to those who are part of this movement?
Yeah, Vice President Kamala Harris is in a difficult spot when it comes to these voters. Look, make no mistake, she has been very outspoken in the Biden administration. She's a critic of Israel's response. But look, she was out campaigning today with former Representative Liz Cheney, a Republican whose family includes former Vice President Dick Cheney, who I think it's fair to say neither are shy about using U.S. military power to achieve American goals, right? That doesn't sit well with this group. So what can Harris do? Well, she can present herself as a better broker than Joe Biden, a broker between Israel and Hamas, and she can tell those voters that a vote for anyone but her is a vote for Donald Trump, and that would be worse for Palestinians.
All right, so last thing, North Carolina, a big battleground state this time around. Much of it, as you know, remains devastated by the hurricanes and the other severe weather. But early voting now underway, and the state is seeing record numbers. What do you make of that? Voters turning out in droves when some of them may not even have a house or running water.
Corey, it's absolutely amazing and awe-inspiring. Look, the state's Board of Elections, they have been working hard to be open for business to the state's voters. 13% of North Carolina's 7.8 million registered voters have already cast their vote. But only 4 of the 80 early voting sites, only 4 were unable to open. So they were able to really do a great job getting those polling stations open for the early voters. And voters, they're also voting there for governor, attorney general. All of Congress is up for re-election. So the residents of North Carolina are leading by example and demonstrating how important it is to exercise your right to vote.
All right, Sue, thank you so much for the insight, as always.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. And remember, we cover all the latest political headlines nationally and locally every Sunday morning on NBC10 Boston. It starts with 10:30 with Meet the Press, moderated by Kristen Welker. Then after that, at 11:30, join me, Matt, Sue O'Connell, for the latest edition of At Issue.